Okay, so happy day one to all of you on this journey of figuring out what's going on with my emotional relationship to food, to cravings, and we're going to talk a lot about the underlying reasons why we are having trouble with food and how to tune in rather than tune out. And first of all, I just want to talk about what's going on whenever we have maybe we're standing in front of the refrigerator and we aren't hungry anymore, but we still feel like we need something. Or maybe you've had the experience where you have a plate of food in front of you and you're really full, but you just keep eating and you're not sure why. Or maybe you find yourself like just thinking about food all the time and you don't know why that is. And the first thing I want to say is when it comes to our relationship with food, there's two components. One is physical and one is emotional. And the physical component of food is really important as well. There's a lot of lack of nutrient density in our culture. We are missing a lot of nutrients in the food that we eat. And so we're getting a lot of calories, but very little nutrient density. So the food that's given to us is kind of like, I like to call it, has empty promises. It has a lot of promise that it's going to fulfill us, it's going to satisfy us, but really they're empty promises because they're not delivering the type of nutrients that your body needs to thrive in this world. So that's the physical component, and there are some things that I would love to say about that. But for the next 10 days, we're just mainly going to be talking about the emotional component. What's emotionally going on in my relationship with food? Why am I not able to just have kind of ease and peace around food? For some of you, this may just be like a huge struggle in your life. And I know that there's just so many people I've talked to, and myself included, that there's this overwhelming confusion of like, what is going on here? Why can't I just get my act together? And as we talked about before, as I talked about in the intro video, there's so much shame and guilt around this for so many people, and I just have so much compassion for this because it can feel like a cage and no way out. And especially right around the holidays, it can be just lots of confusing stuff going on. So anyway, just with what is going on with our relationship with food, what is happening here? Food, whenever we're not at peace with it, it's doing one of two things. There's a lot of elements, but it's doing one of two things. It's either stuffing down uncomfortable emotions that we don't know how to navigate through, we don't really know what to do with. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing it because it's so familiar, we've done it for so long. So it's either stuffing down those uncomfortable emotions or it's filling up something that we feel like we are missing. So maybe we're missing connection in some way with a person or in life or with God. Maybe it is that we're missing some sort of something that we're meant to do in our life that we have been blocking ourselves from actually being able to do. And so we need to sort of fill it up with some other pleasure in life. Sometimes there's loneliness and we just need that sort of connection. Food can kind of feel like a good friend, especially if someone's been hurt. A lot of times by other people, food just feels a whole lot safer. And I know if you're one of those people that have never really struggled with this may not even make sense to you, but you can kind of compare it to another like medication that you have. Food can be kind of like a form of medication. Everyone has it to some degree in some area. For some people it's drugs, and some people it's sex, and some people it is shopping, and some people it's just performance, a lot of striving. We can become very addicted to that, and that we can use that as a medication. But regardless of all of those things, what we want to do is to come into a healthy relationship with ourselves, with food, and with life, and it is possible. And the first thing I really want to say to you is there is nothing wrong with you. You probably feel like if you struggled in this area with food that something is messed up about you, and you just need to keep striving and getting your act together and working harder. I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with you. There is a legitimate reason why your mind is doing this and why it is that you need something. It's a legitimate need, and there is a real way to work through it. You're not just stuck with this for the rest of your life. All right? So, here's what's actually going on. Whenever we talk about the relationship with food, we have to talk about the way that the mind works. So if you listened to my video about the anatomy of transformation, I talked about the conscious and the subconscious mind, and how the body is a responder to the subconscious mind, to the conscious mind, and to the core of who we are, the truth of who we are. So we're going to talk about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And bear with me here. I'm going to get slightly scientific-y, but not bad. This is just for you to have an understanding of what's going on so that you can alleviate the guilt and the shame and really understand why you're doing what you're doing, and that there's nothing wrong with you. Okay? So the conscious mind is the part of the mind that kind of 5 to 20% part of the brain that we're aware of, that we're conscious of. This is the part of us that makes the decisions, that decides, okay, I'm going over to my grandmother's house and we're going to have our Christmas dinner, and I'm not going to eat that, and I'm not going to eat that, and I'm not going to eat that. And then maybe you find yourself either stressing through the entire thing and being able to do that, or finding yourself not being able to do what you consciously decided that you were going to do. And here's why. Because the subconscious mind it's the control center, and it's the emotional control center. The subconscious mind is responsible for 80%, over 80% of our mind. And it's the part that's in charge of the involuntary functions, like the heart beating and breathing and reflexes and things that we don't have to really worry about. Those things that happen naturally that we're not thinking about. It also is like a perfect computer. It records with perfect clarity every experience you've had, every emotion that you've had, every thought. It's like, think of a perfect computer that records everything. That is what your subconscious mind does. So what this means is it's also in charge of the emotional center of our brain, and it picks up on things that we're not even aware of that happened to us in the past. So that's what's running the show. The conscious mind, the part of you that's decided, I'm not going to eat that, and I'm not going to eat that, I'm not going to eat that, that part is not in control as much, because it's only got 5 to 20% of the power here. The subconscious mind is the part that runs the show. So when we work with all of this, we have to work on renewing and rewiring the subconscious mind. So for example, many of you as your children may have had this happen where maybe you were going through a really sad time and someone said, oh, let me just give you chocolate and you'll feel better. So what happened is, even if you don't remember this happening, the subconscious mind goes, oh, I'm sad. Chocolate, that's what's going to do it for me. So you may have had that sort of experience. Or when you needed something, your mom gave you, maybe when you really were looking for love and connection, maybe your mother or your father gave you food. And so again, the subconscious mind is wired to turn to that. It's like, oh, that's what it is that I need. And sometimes it just sort of gets built over time, and we don't even realize that we're searching, we're needing something, and our subconscious mind is trying to give it to us, but it's not wired to be able to fix it the way we need it to fix it. It's doing the best it can, which is why I think it's so important to have compassion and grace for yourself in this area, because the subconscious mind is trying to give you exactly what you need. It's trying to help you, it's trying to protect you, it's trying to give you the type of emotions that you need, and it's doing the best it can as to the method, the form of whatever it is that you need. So it thinks it's food, when it may not really be food that you really necessarily need. So what we want to do is rewire the mind to understand that it's not really food that you're looking for, maybe it's something else. So what also happens as we rewire the mind is we get to dig into this deeper part of who we are, this core of who we are, and find out what our real desires are, what we're really craving in life, what it is that we're actually really needing. And it's a beautiful journey, even though sometimes it feels like awful, because it's an emotional journey, not a thinking journey. And that feels out of control for us. And, we as human beings really hate being out of control. I don't know about you, but me, whenever I go down the emotional journey, it's so much harder, because I just feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I'm going and what is going to happen. So I've been on this journey, and in some ways I'm still on it, which I feel like gives me so much more compassion and hope for you. So let's go back. Rewiring the subconscious mind, how do we do that? So there's this myriad of different ways, there's different modalities to work to help the subconscious mind rewire to understand the truth. understand the truth of what it is we need and the truth of who we are, and come into alignment with the core of who we are, our true identity. And that's what we want to do. But the pathway towards that is, again, not about restriction and dieting and deprivation. The pathway towards that is with love and compassion and truth-based. It's about finding the truth of who we are and rewiring that. And so here's the fun thing. One of the ways that I've learned how to do this is a very, very simple process. It's my little secret weapon that I use, and I have a few of them, but this is the one I want to specifically work on with you and share with you over the next 10 days. It's called EFT tapping. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's also known as tapping. And Emotional Freedom Technique has been used for a long, long time, but the techniques that I've learned to work with emotional eating and food cravings are a combination of EFT tapping and then some other modalities mixed in there. And it really, really helps rewire the brain, because what's happening is you're using this technique to kind of just help rewire the brain. Anyway, there's another video that I have. You can look back in the email and click the second button, and it's going to explain what EFT is. And then the third button is going to tell you how to tap. Now, you're going to need to get comfortable with this process, because I'm going to be giving you some gifts, like some meditations, some things to do when you're in the moment with emotional eating, when you're in the moment with cravings, and then kind of how to start your day off. I'm going to be giving you some stuff with that. So you need to get comfortable with the EFT tapping process and understand what it is, so that you can more effectively use it over the next few days. All right, so I hope this has been helpful for you. I will look forward to giving you more and sharing more with you on day 2.